Hey guys, I'm Bren Harris, the Warrior Mom with the Warrior Nation. And you can do 135 video podcasts, but you got to hit the unmute button. So thank you. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you. And I am so glad you are here. Great. Oh, thank you. Yes. And I want you to know there's a recent study that shows. Um, hey guys, we're going to add Instagram back in here. I am so happy you are here. I love that we just pivot. That's all we do. And this is the first week of school for us. So I'm going to back up a little bit. There's a recent study that shows 79% of American moms feel completely invisible. Now, my son is diagnosed on the autism spectrum. A little bit about me. When my son was medically injured at 22 months of age, I founded the Warrior Nation. Oh, thanks, guys. I'm glad you can hear me. The Warrior Nation, and I'm the Warrior Mom, Bren Harris. And what that is about is stepping into that gap. In the last 15 years, almost 15 years, we have walked through hell. Now we walk out of there like we own the place and take water back to those here in the fire. Now, I don't have all the answers. What I do know is that together we really are stronger. And that's the key here because I know that I know that I know success doesn't happen in a vacuum. Now, what do I mean by all of that? My son is now towering over me, 6'1" teen, and is nonverbal, diagnosed on the spectrum, autism spectrum level 3. Now, theoretically, that's lifelong care. I had people, experts in the medical industry, tell me he would never X, Y, or Z. Well, we've blown all that out of the water, and he's doing great. Now, this summer has been a huge challenge because neurotypical kids will develop incrementally. For us, being on the spectrum, all of a sudden we wake up and everything's different. Things that worked yesterday don't work today. Things that used to occupy his attention don't work the next day because his brain is actually healing and getting better every single day. And we're talking about, and thank you for being here. If you are chiming in, let us know in the chat where you're chiming in from. If you threw a dart at the US, I'm right in the middle in Oklahoma. And I know that together we truly are stronger. And what I want is, yes, I find this with my son too. Thank you, Amy. We have Seattle in the house. We have Morocco in the house and Trinidad in the house. I'm so glad you guys are here. And we are streaming across multiple platforms. So please chime in and let us know. And we will read those comments as we go. Now, feeling seen, heard, and value is so, so important. Now, why is that? If there's a recent study that shows that American moms feel completely invisible, well, my son learns new words with American Sign Language. We live in a suburb, and just like a mile from us is a really nice garden. I mean, it's huge. And my son looked at me the other day and said, giga. And I'm going, what? What are you trying to say? Go show me. And he pointed to this beautiful, I mean, it's stunning. It's a beautiful working garden with all these vegetables. And so we pulled over, we got on YouTube and we looked up the American Sign Language, or ASL, for garden, which is just G, like this. You do the letter G and you go garden. So as soon as he did that, he said, I see a garden. Now, memory expert Jim Quick says when the body is moving, the mind is grooving. And that's what we have found. Please share this. If you have neurotypical children and you don't need sign language, please share this with 1 in 31 boys diagnosed on the spectrum families that you may know. Now, going back to our point of feeling seen, heard, and valued, and I'm sorry, I'm having some technical challenges. So if I'm not looking at you, I'm just trying to get everybody to bring them into the fold. And hey, TikTok, good to see you. I am so glad. I'm so glad you're here. And Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, great to see you. And what I want you to know is that My go-to, my default when I am talking to alleged experts, whether that's educators, insurance companies, oh my gosh, don't even get me started, or medical professionals, who says, "What's the workaround?" Who says that? Can you cite the peer-reviewed study that supports that position, or is this just what you've been told or you've learned with the handful of patients that you have that are actually on the spectrum? Now, as a mom, I have found now, this may not work for you, but this is what works for me. When I show up like the CEO, the problem solver that this journey requires me to become, when I show up to anything like a CEO, people listen. For years, I felt overlooked and undervalued. I thought I was just a crazy mom. No, I'm the warrior mom. So our ASL word for this talk is overlook. You just sort of, you know how you just sometimes we just space out. It's overlook, but it's actually we're using it for the word invisible. Overlook or invisible. Invisible. And we want to be seen, heard, and valued. And we will talk about those signs. Now, again, I don't have all the answers, but we're going to go on the Wayback Machine here. Here we go. Now, we moved from Japan, beautiful southern tropical island. Oh my gosh, it was like Little Mayberry, where my son was born. And when we came back to the States, we stayed with an older relative. And I was on my MacBook seeing how moms are being completely disregarded online, especially nursing moms. And I came from Japan where everything is natural and normal and it's not taboo and it's all celebrated because they live in multi-generational homes and they have that built-in village, which we do not have here in the States. So here you go. This is the Wayback Machine. This is probably close to 16 years ago. And I'm sitting there at the 1970s table and kitchen with my MacBook and my cup of coffee and my now 6'1" teen. And I am crafting a response to this disrespect and disregard and absolute disparaging nonsense that I found online about nursing moms. And that's where Warrior Moms was birthed. Now, did I know what my life had in store? No, I would have run away quickly. I had no clue what this journey would entail. Now, fast forward, this was just a few months ago at one of our medical trips, and there's my 6'1" son with a very low voice, and we were we do medical trips once a month out of state to help him detox. We have since learned he has a genetic marker, and it's real challenge to convert folic acid, which is synthetic and man-made, to folate, which is a bioavailable version of B12. So that's the mom version. Okay. Again, if you're just joining us, please let us know in the comments where you're chiming in from. And I also want you to know that since this is the first week of school, this is really, really on my heart because about 9 days before the official start of school, we didn't have classes until this week. The official start of school, about 9 days, the teacher quit by text abruptly. And I was like Scooby-Doo, tied in knots at the tail and going 5 different directions for about 30 seconds. Then I got to work. I put on my CEO problem solver hat and I got to work. And within 24 hours, we had the right teacher that has the right skill set and the right training. In our state, we're dead last in education rankings. This person is so overqualified and is everything we've been praying for. So we're learning to pivot. I don't know if you guys remember the Friends episode where Ross's character is saying, pivot, pivot, pivot. That's how I felt. I felt like God was telling me to pivot and not get locked into something that I thought was good for me. He had something that was great for us. And if maybe you're feeling really alone and you're feeling invisible and overlooked, whether that's at your job or caregiving. I know a number of you are caregiving for elderly relatives. Maybe they have physical infirmities or dementia or both. And that's really isolating. I'm telling you, I didn't leave my house for a long time once he was diagnosed. And that is the worst feeling in the world because when we isolate, those negative Nancy voices in our heads start screaming. And we need to have those affirmations, habit stack, and have our tribe so that we are stronger together. Now, hey guys, great to see you. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Hey, Gary, Oklahoma, great to see you. Washington, D.C. in the house. Georgia in the house. Great to see you guys. I'm so glad you're here. And again, I'm in Oklahoma. You throw a dart, I'm right in the middle. And we've had some tech challenges tonight, so we're just pivoting like Ross on Friends. Pivot, pivot, pivot. And I love that we can be stronger together. Now, what am I talking about? This recent study, it's probably about a year old, and it showed that American moms, 79% felt completely invisible. And this is our sign for invisible. And then tonight, we're going to talk about what contributes to that. Now, there are no perfect answers. What I do know is that a rising tide lifts all boats. When I'm staying on my side of the street, I'm keeping my side of the street completely in order and clean and positive, that I don't have time to look at all the people I feel like are not supporting my journey. I had relatives that were so excited that we were having a baby later in life and that this was going to be amazing. And now they're not physically able to help. And I'm holding the entire load. So that brings us to our first point. Why do American moms, 79%, hear me warriors, 79% of American moms feel invisible? That's because of this. And this is camera rich. Take a screenshot. Invisible load. Now, what do I mean by that? This is going to be our sign for tonight. Invisible. And then we're going to go like this, like it's a burden. Invisible load. The invisible load. What does that even mean? Well, we have a lot going on. For example, in our home, I get up before anyone else does, and I get probably 45 minutes to an hour's worth of work done before anyone even thinks about turning off the snooze alarm. Then at night, I do an hour in the evening. That's when I'm recording the audio book that I'm working on. More about that at the end of the podcast. I'm also looking at, okay, let's prep for the next day. Let's make sure we have everything in line so that in the morning, we're not scrambling. That's the worst feeling. And especially for our super kids. Absolute strategy and plans, consistency, routines. We're habit stacking and getting 1% better every single day. I love what James Clear says in his book. When we're habit stacking, we're 1% better every day. That's a marginal increase in just 1 year. We're not trying to cram for the test at the last minute. No, we're studying every single day and we're habit stacking and building that foundation so that we're not reacting, we're responding. Oh, hey guys, great to see you. Yeah. Isolation is not the answer. And that's my default. So what's the invisible load that makes American moms, 79%, feel invisible? Those are the things that we are doing almost without thinking. It's like consciously unconscious. What are we thinking about when we're not thinking about what we're thinking about? We get up, we set the lawn, we make sure the clean clothes are out, especially if our children are not able to pick the correct clothes for the weather. We are doing breakfast. We're setting up we have table work. I have table work ready for him to work on. I make sure his school computer is ready for the right and correct assignments. And now that we've started school, he can do jump through the ridiculous hoops to check in for attendance. It's about 9 different steps, you guys. I think they just don't want robots or bots trying to do that for them. It's insane how difficult it is. But I make sure that once he has those supplements in the morning, so that he can have strong brain power and regulated behavior, that he can have some independence now and do his check-in for attendance and his table work. Now, I made a list and I am doing 27 things every single morning to set all of this up for success. I had no clue I was doing that much. And that's the invisible load that makes moms, 79% of American moms, feel completely invisible. And I want you, over the next 24 hours, we're just going to observe and write this down. I know this is really helpful because when we see it and we write it on the page, we remember it. The moment you get up, if you're doing anything, even including hitting the snooze alarm, I want you to list it. Just get a little, you can put it in the notes in your smartphone. I want you to list it, because this invisible load is affecting 79% of American moms. Now, the second thing, so we're listing, okay? We're listing. Second thing, camera rich, take a picture, default parent. Now, what do I mean by that? Our background is a military family. When you're married into the military, you don't have equitable division of parenting responsibilities. The one that is not active duty is the default parent. I find myself, since my son has special needs and requires extreme amount of support and encouragement and help, even though he's a big, 6'1" teen, that I am the default parent. It's just understood. We never said, okay, you're going to be the default parent. No, that's just how it goes. Now, if you have a different setup in your household, maybe your partner is the default parent. Be cognizant of that. Be aware. Am I the default parent and I'm doing all this stuff? I'm not staying on my side of the street. I'm going on everyone else's side of the street to help fix stuff. You know how that goes. Where are my codependent sisters at? Yeah, we're helping, we're nurturing, we're doing all these things. And then we find ourselves requiring ourselves to pour from an empty cup. That is a recipe for burnout. That is a recipe. So if you're just joining us, please let us know in the chat where you're chiming in from. And also let us know how your weather is. So we are in the middle of the US and it is raining and 64 degrees after all this crazy, drought and summer heat. So now just quick recap. Why are moms feeling invisible and burned out? Because of the invisible load, all those 97 things we're doing and we're juggling and we're stressed and we feel like no one's helping. Well, when they help, I tend to go, that's not how we do it. Hear me say, where are my type A sisters at? That's not how we do it, especially when it comes to my son's nutrition. He has wicked food allergies. So that hypervigilance is what, we get so empty and then we keep trying to pour from an empty cup and it is bone dry. Okay. Yeah. Hey guys, great to see you. Yeah. 64 degrees. It's crazy. It's just like somebody flipped a light switch. This is what we call fake fall. I did put out all my fall decor just because I was, it was the weather and the mood. Yes. And please let us know in the chat if you're on the live or you're on the replay. If you're on the live, put an L. If you're on the replay, put an R. And also, let's say hi to TikTok. So glad you're here. Again, if you spend more than 5 minutes with me, you will know I do not have all the answers. I do know what works for us and that I am having to pivot more than I would have ever imagined. Okay, so we have invisible load. That's why we feel like we're not seen or heard or valued. We also have default parenting. I feel like this is really common. We have parental roles and then we get in a rut and we get in a groove and we get in this, it's just the same. And I really need to back up, shut up, pray up, and let go more times than not. And I need you to hear me. And you can hear Ross's voice. Pivot. Pivot. It's okay to pivot. Now, our third thing, we have invisible load, default parent, and then our third thing, and then we'll wrap it up. Please take screenshots. Double standard. Oh, yeah, we're going to stir the pot. Even in the 21st century, we have a double standard. Now, what do I mean by that? Our culture, there's such intense pressure, especially on moms, to work like you don't have children and parent like you don't work. Okay, let's say that again. To work like you don't have children and parent like you don't work. I know. It sounds insane when we articulate it, doesn't it? But that's the pressure. That's the pressure. And you see it even in, oh, hey, great to see you guys. I'm glad you're here live. That's the pressure. We are required to have it together. Now, some of that might be self-imposed. I've been on stage since I was 5, so it can be my default. Some days I just need to take a step back, and give myself grace and permission to not have it all together, because we really don't. We're going to, social media, please don't compare your right now nasty to someone's highlight reel. No one's posting how they're in the kitchen bawling their eyes out and on the floor in the fetal position because their child was just diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. We don't really talk about that a whole lot. We do here at the Warrior Nation, but social media is just a highlight reel. The double standard is work like you don't have children, parent like you don't work. And that's where we talk about boundaries. Now, boundaries are not bad. They get a really bad rap. Boundaries are just saying, hey, this is where I stop and you begin, and this is my space, and no one comes in it. Now we're working on personal space with my son. If he's really anxious, because he can get that way, and he wants more and he's ready for more, but his verbal capacity isn't quite there yet. We like to say, instead of nonverbal, not completely verbal yet, the power of yet. And if you ever want to dive into the power of yet, please check out Carol Dweck. She has amazing work on that. And she is the reason, her study out of Stanford is the reason we have a morning routine. We exercise every morning. It may not be a full-blown exercise, but we get that body moving so that we can have behavior regulation throughout the day. This works for grown-ups too. Hear me, warriors. Behavior regulation is the key, and we can't expect our children to be regulated with their behavior if we are not. I know, unpopular opinion. Hear me, warriors. We cannot expect our children to have regulated behavior if we ourselves are not. And it starts with us. Remember, a rising tide lifts all boats. Now we stay on it. We do that. Oh, yes. Very good. We assume. Oh, I love that. Anthony out of DC, he says, default parenting, assumed parental responsibilities, the same parent without communicating it. That is so true. That is so true. And I know that life is busy. Life is busy. And we are just championing our calling while we walk in purpose. And that may not look like somebody else. I learned early on that no comparison. Quick story. I went to a PTO meeting when my son this is probably 10 years ago when he was in elementary school. And the president of the PTO from the front of the room, she goes, "Oh, you're a special ed parent? We've never had one of those." So me being the sarcastic, lovely little Southern girl I am, I said, "Don't worry, we're not contagious." And everyone laughed and we moved on. I am a firm believer. Call out the elephant in the room and just blaze your own trail, because nobody else knows how to act. And that's why we have burned out moms, with 79% of American moms feeling invisible. And of those 79%, oh my goodness, hear me, warriors, 96% believe that the assumed parental roles are inequitable. That means moms are doing 90%, partners are doing 10%. And then that little thought, that seed gets planted. And then we're like, why isn't anyone helping? Yeah. So communication is the key. We're here to relieve that invisible load. And your children, as they grow, are able to take on more of that responsibility. This is really important. Even our super kids, I have a set of things that are goals for my son to be able to do. And he's almost through the whole list for the summer. And I know that this may not be exactly what you thought this would be about, and that's okay. I do have a book coming out. And one of the assignments in that book, it is a mystery. It is full of intrigue. It is full of romance, but it also has quick little lessons, hey, here's a 5-second little tidbit. Let's write it in the journal. So I want to challenge you for the next 24 hours, write down that invisible load. I mean, in your smartphone, just type it in. And I mean, everything, fed the dogs, took the dogs out, made breakfast for my child, had their homework ready. I prepped the night before, getting the laundry set out so that we don't have to decide what to wear the next day. These kinds of things. Now, if everyone's in a different season, pick what works for you. And I mean every single thing you do, because I see you, I hear you, and you belong here. I'm Bren Harris, the Warrior Mom, with the Warrior Nation, your source for truth, transparency, and trust. Warriors unite.